Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What you all the latest trending topics, we gon' talk about it. If you really about it, tune on in, no need to side it. Go and hit the like button and sign up to subscribe it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What you all the latest trending topics, we gon' talk about it. If you really about it, tune on in, no need to side it. Go and hit the like button and sign up to subscribe it. Let's start it off with Mr. Brady, play the game to win it. Whatever that you think you analyze, then he gon' spin it. C-note on the money, get it straight from the beginning. Hit you with some quotes before you know it's gon' be trending. These boys ain't no rookies, they some veterans like BA. That's why we got real ones on the team like that boy TA. No, I ain't from GA, but I do keep it the G-way. Just like that boy Ant B when he breaking down the replay. Let me prick your brain, who you pick to win the game. Cause I can't pick a thing until I hear from Jamie Drain. Just sum it up, come have some fun with us from 8 to 9. We do this every Wednesday, talking sports, we going live. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What you all the latest trending topics, we gon' talk about it. If you really about it, tune on in, no need to side it. Go and hit the like button and sign up to subscribe it. Yeah. This following program is gonna be brought to you by Hello Black Man. Tune in every Wednesday from 8 to 9.
Oh, what's good? What's good, gentlemen? What's going on with you this evening?
What's happening?
What's happening?
What's happening?
Good to be back, fellas.
What's going on, man? Welcome back to another episode
On this
White Talk Sports Podcast.
Yeah.
Man, give a shout out to my guy, Mr. Play to Win the Game. He's been a little under the weather this week, so he'll be out this week, man. But shout out to him. Hope he's doing well. Hope he's resting, watching the broadcast, man. So there's shout out there. Also missing Blazer Kid. Hope all is well. And this shout out our people, man. Ja, we're gonna step into it, man. How y'all week been? How you been so far? This is midweek. How your week been so far?
Man, I'm just coming back in town from a family reunion in ATL, man. It was a very, very memorable event. Good to see friends and family, man. Glad to be back.
That's what's up. That's what's up. What about you? What about yourself, TA?
Man, it's been a good week, man. Tomorrow, I'm gonna do that. Well, I'm gonna talk about tomorrow on my closing. Okay. But this been a good week, man. It's been a good week. It's gonna get even better tomorrow, but we'll talk about that later on.
You definitely got a sense of joy about tomorrow. So I'm definitely looking forward to what's about to happen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So I know we've had the NFL. The NFL draft coming up. A little noise about that, but we have to talk about the NBA because we're ending the season, kind of wrapping things up, right?
Right.
And so one of those things that we have to talk about before we get to the main events is what we have a star player that has followed his team, part of a dynasty, and it's kind of unnerving. And so what I like to talk about tonight just a little bit is, what do you all think about Klay Thompson unfollowing the Warriors on social media? That's a big thing now. You unfollow somebody on social media, that's a big thing, right? So he's unfollowed his team on social media, and who should move on? Is the Warriors ready to move on from him, or is he ready to move on from the Warriors? I want to hear from C-Note first. Like I want to jump right in to the Warriors guy, and let's talk about it, C-Note.
Well, as you all know, I'm the resident Warriors fan, and I take pride in my team. I'm a big fan of Klay Thompson, part of the Splash Brothers. We have a dynasty. Everybody recognized the Warriors core as Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Stephen Curry. So it would be very, very difficult for me not to see him in a Warriors uniform and associate the Warriors, moving forward without the presence of Klay Thompson. With that being said, also have to be realistic from an organizational standpoint, and look at it from both sides. You have to be fair for both sides. And I'm going to go all the way back to the injury. When Clay tore his ACL, everybody was, he tore his ACL in the finals of 2019 when in the fourth quarter, right before they lost to the Toronto Raptors in Game 6. So he tore his ACL, was on the way trying to come back, make a return the following season. Yep. And lo and behold, we hear that he tore his Achilles. And what did the organization do? They gave him a max contract.
Yep.
A 5-year max contract, super max at that. No, he missed the super max because he didn't make the All NBA team that particular season. I remember that. But they gave him a max contract for 5 years, despite him being injured. And he basically had 2 years of free pay that, where they wasn't utilizing his assistance. Obviously 2020, we had a terrible season when Clay and Steph both were injured and he didn't play, and we ended up winning 15 games. And then ended up getting James Wiseman as a result. Unfortunately, he's not any longer with the team. But 2021, they played without Clay. And that was when the Warriors got eliminated in the play-in tournament to the Memphis Grizzlies when Draymond missed the layup.
Yep.
And so then 2022, Clay comes back basically halfway through the season to make his grand return, and we win the championship. So again, Clay hasn't been present for 2.5 years, and he was benefiting from a max contract. So the organization, to my point, showed a lot of loyalty to him. And in my opinion, it's time for Clay to step up and show loyalty back to the organization by taking a pay cut. And it seems Clay is being a bit stubborn by not being willing to take the pay cut and yielding to the organization who's done so much for him. And I think a lot of it derives from Draymond Green getting his money like year before last.
Okay.
And I think Clay feels he deserves at least at minimum the type of contract that Draymond Green got or better. It just depends on how you see the level of importance of each player. But to that point, you go back to accountability. And I sent you a few numbers that I want us to focus in on, if you can pull that up on the screen.
Absolutely, got them right here. Here is one of your numbers you posted.
All right, so to that point, Klay Thompson, last game of the season, the most important game of the season, the play-in game. 0 points, 0 for 10 from the field, 0 for 6 from three-point land. That's horrific. That's horrific. Now, to go even further back, I want you to go to the slide before that I sent. Okay. I know it's hard to see this slide, but this slide illustrates that this is the Lakers series that they got eliminated by LeBron James and the Lakers. And these are the last 3 games of Klay Thompson's numbers in that series. All right. Which is it went six games. So game 4. Klay played 41 minutes, scored 9 points. Game 5, Klay played 37 minutes, scored 10 points. Game 6, the final game, Klay plays 38 minutes and scores 8 points. So if you look at his last 4 games when it mattered most, Klay was nowhere to be found. And he's wanting, to be paid and compensating as if he's still contributing like a number 2 option. Well, I remind you, he is not a number 2 option anymore. He has no defense left in those legs anymore. If you remember, Wiggins was the number 2 option in the NBA Finals run in 22. Yep. So, if you look at since he's gotten back, he haven't contributed a whole lot. I think he should humble himself. I would love to have him if he would come in at a good number. If not, I'm willing to part ways and move forward.
Give me a good number. Give me your Klay Thompson contract.
I would say a reasonable number would be, I think he wants a 3-year deal, but I think it should coincide with Steph's contract, which is Steph has another 2 years on his deal. So I would say 2 years, anywhere from 40 to 50 million, which would be 20 million a year or 25 million a year. Yeah. I think that's a reasonable number. And also, I actually think that's too much. But I just to show him a little grace.
I think he's shooting for 30. I think he's shooting for 30.
I'm not willing to pay that number if I were the GM.
From everything I'm not a Warriors fan, but I try to keep up with free agency best I can. I think he's shooting for 30, 31, and that's where they are apart. 22, 31 is kind of where I think they are. What you think about it? What you think, Warrior Killer?
God. Listen, man, I 20 million for Klay Thompson. Listen, listen.
That's the market.
If Klay is willing to sign a 2-year, $20 million deal,
No, let me interject. It's 2-year, $40 million, $20 million a year.
Right.
So it will be 2-year, $40 million.
Even fine. If he's willing to sign a 2-year, $40 million for 2 years, get him to LA so he can play with LeBron. If that's the only thing that he gonna ask for, listen. I defer to C-Note, obviously, my guy, when it comes to Warrior information. He follows them. He's forgot more Warrior information than I know. But this is what I do know. Pay me my money. I don't care at what point of the career I'm in. If I want what the market is willing to pay me. So I'm not taking less, because here's the thing. When he came in as a rookie and had to prove himself, I got to get to a point where I get the money that I deserve. He's 34 years old. This is obviously going to be his last contract, most likely. I need to be paid like such. And here's the thing. I was looking at his numbers. This year, over the last 5 years, with the exception of this year, he's averaged 20, 21, 20, 21 over the last 5 years. And he shot career high 44% from 3, 40, 38, 41. And this year he shot 38.7. He is averaging 18 points a game this year. So really what we're looking at is an outlier of a year. He's literally done the same thing.
In 22, what he averaged in 22?
21. 22 points.
No, 22. So, when we won the championship in 22, what did he average?
That's what I'm telling you. In 22, 23, 21, 22, he averaged 20.4 a game. In 22, 23, he averaged 21.9 a game.
Okay.
So what I'm saying, his shooting percentage, 42 in 21, 22, 43 last year, and 43 this year. So he's
doing it very efficient. Very efficient right there.
He's consistent and he's efficient, and he's still shooting above. He shot above or right at 40% from 3-point line this year. Pay me my coins. If you don't want to pay me in Golden State, and the only thing you thinking the market can bear is 2 years, $40 million, send him to LA. We'll sign him for 2 years, $40 million. The man made $3 million this year. I need at least, I'm with Jamie, I need at least 30. I'm not signing for less than 30. If the Warriors can't pay it, then it is what it is. I ain't tripping.
And I'm not gonna overly disagree with you, Thomas, but our issue is in Golden State is that Steph doesn't have a reliable number 2. The gap between Steph and his number 2 option is the biggest gap in the NBA in a long time. I did some research on this. Trust me, he's number 1 in terms of leading a team with his number 2 option being so much more significantly lower than him. The issue is if we pay Klay $30 million, which is close, somewhat close to max a year, Dre's getting a lot of money, Wiggins is getting a lot of money. Nobody is, we don't have that consistent number 2 option. And 18 points a game or 19 points a game with a person that's not necessarily a shot creator and whose defense has declined significantly is not going to get it. We need him to come in at a friendly number so we can get more help for Steph, which that's not the market's problem. And I get your point. So yeah, that's why I'm saying we shouldn't resign him beyond that number if we're trying to win.
I'm gonna say this because I know Jamie need to get his point. It's not the market's problem, and it ain't Klay problem. And I wouldn't take less than 30 to play for nobody, because here's the thing: he's got his rings, so he's got the ultimate prize in this team sport. He doesn't have anything else to prove to Golden State, and taking a friendly number and they're not going to win anyway is they're not going to beat they're not in the elite of the West, whether they give him the money or they don't give him the money. I'm not taking a cap-friendly deal so that so we can be in the play-in tournament every year. Not doing it. I'm taking, give me 30, 35, I'll go to New York. Or I'll go play for Charlotte for the next 3 years at a $35 million clip.
I want to give you all some perspective on salary cap. Now, we already know that the salary cap numbers as far as contracts, it resets by player, by position, every contract, right? So you're going to have lower tier guys making more than some of the better guys just based on when they sign their contract, when the new bargaining agreement is done. And you're telling me that you have him at what a year as a minimum, TA?
At a minimum
per season? Yeah.
He made 43 this year. I'm at a minimum, I'm taking 30.
30. Okay. So 31, Jaylen Brown makes 31. Jaylen Brown makes 31. DeMar DeRozan makes 28. Julius Randle makes.
Wait, Jaylen Brown just signed a super max like a year ago. It may be his old contract. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It was his 23-24 salary.
Okay.
And you're talking about dropping him down to a 20 a year contract. 2022. Draymond Green makes 22. Wiggins makes 24. You want him in line with those guys.
Exactly. That's what his production lends itself to, and that's where he should be. I mean, if you think about it, the Warriors were not like, it was a cluster of teams in the West within a margin of 2 games. You know, the difference between 10 and 6 was like 2 games. Dallas was up there around 4 or 5, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 games ahead of the Warriors. So they were in the finals. And you look at the year before that, we were playing the Lakers in the semifinal game, where, you know, in a very competitive series. I don't think we're far away. I think I'm looking at maybe if Paul George or somebody comes in. You know, we have a player's option on Chris Paul's contract of a $30 million close to max deal that we can use as a negotiating chip for somebody who's trying to get rid of a lot of money off their books.
I'll tell you what,
we have some options and flexibility. So I don't think we're as far gone as you say.
I agree. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna end the saga of Klay Thompson right here. Tyler Hero makes $27 million per season, right? Is he better or worse than Tyler Hero?
Better.
Worse, definitely worse.
Better.
Can we read the numbers over the last 2 years from both?
Better.
Give
me Tyler Hero.
DeAndre Powell says Steph teammates needs to play better. Wiggins ain't that guy, or just doing enough to get paid and be a starter.
Facts.
Wow. That's
crazy. He don't need to listen. Taking less than Andrew Wiggins is an absolute crime. It is no way if they offer him 2 years, $40 million, and I make it would be no way I would show up to that locker room and I could walk in there with a straight face knowing I'm making less than Andrew Wiggins. Ain't no way. I'm not doing it. Listen, y'all don't appreciate y'all players, man. Don't do that. Don't do that.
To put that into perspective, Andrew Wiggins signed that contract immediately after making his first All-Star appearance and having the best season of his career and arguably competing for the Finals MVP and being Steph's number 2 option. And he deserved that contract when he got it. Since then, he's had a lot of mental issues and a lot of personal issues with his family and off the court issues, and he hadn't played well at all. And I'm actually ready to get rid of Wiggins, to be honest with you. So I see both ends of it. But you know, Draymond's is making about what Wiggins making. I think Klay should accept it as well. But again, you know, it's not a lifetime achievement award. I tell you that.
I got you. So listen, I want to move on to one of the more iconic players of today and what they brought to the game and where they are right now as far as their legacy. What do we make of Luka moving forward after losing the finals? Did his legacy improve, stay the same, or did it decline? Let's talk Luka, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, TA. Let's give me your Luka take.
I don't think your legacy can decline after making a finals. I just that doesn't, to me, it's an oxymoron. Like, you can't get worse after reaching the pinnacle of your career or the pinnacle of your sport. So I think his legacy definitely improves because, to be honest, outside of him and Kyrie, you don't really have another real legitimate option. I mean, Lively's coming on. Hardaway didn't have, I don't know, he's falling out of favor with the coaching. I don't know what's going on with Hardaway. He didn't play well. You got PJ Washington or whatever his name. I mean, you got a bunch of role players after Kyrie and Luka are concerned. My issue with Luka, and this is the only thing I will say about Luka. Luka, we need to give the same energy to Luka that we give to Zion Williamson. Luka's not in shape. He is absolutely out of shape. He is absolutely winded. He's not in a position to perform at a high level. He is doing it completely off of talent at this point. He can't guard anybody. He's an amazing and exceptional, above average scorer, but that's where it ends. He spent a lot of time, I think that was in game 3, maybe. Yeah, it was game 3, whining and crying to the refs about fouls and this, that, and the third, man. Listen, if you're going to be a superstar, you got to play like a superstar. When it was going well, there weren't any issues. But now that it's not, you're on the verge of getting swept, everything's a bad call, everything is this, you whining and you throwing stuff and you acting like a child. So I say all that to say, I think Luka's a phenomenal player right now. I got him in my top 5 in the league because I really feel that way as far as when he's a complete package when he's doing what he's supposed to do. But right now, he got to get in shape. He's tired in June of the finals. That means there was a reason Michael Finley took that beer out of his hand a couple weeks ago, because he knew he knew what the rest of the world would come to find out, which is Luka's got bad habits as it relates to preparation, and it showed itself when he played against people who were younger, faster, stronger, willing to throw extra bodies at him and not let him get off like he did in the series before. So yes, he's a top tier player. I'm not taking anything away from him, but outside of that, it's a lot of work he's gonna have to do if he's talking about reaching that pinnacle where we think Luka can get, which is in the same breath as a LeBron or a Steph Curry or guys like that. He's not even close to there right now.
Okay, I got you. C-Note, what's your take on Luka?
Well, as we know, Luka is an all-time perennial scorer type. You know what I'm saying? What concerns me more about Luka is he's starting to fall into that category, in my perception, of an all-time bucket getter. But can you really build a championship team around him? Is he a franchise cornerstone type player? Or is he, again, this is no knock to him because these guys are awesome and first ballot Hall of Famers. But is he becoming Allen Iverson? Is he becoming James Harden? Is he becoming the Carmelo Anthony type? These kind of guys that's superior, elite scorers, but they're, so ball dominant. And then if you look at it, does it not alarm you that Jalen Brunson left him as his number 2 and we saw him as like this mediocre number 2 role player? And he went to the New York Knicks and became this perennial franchise cornerstone superstar caliber player that nobody thought he could be. He left Luka and showed us that. And it's like, then you got Porzingis. Porzingis left Luka. Now he's with Boston, and he's showing us that he could be a key contributor on a championship team. And the word was that Luka really did not enjoy playing with Porzingis, and Porzingis hated playing with Luka. So, the Philadelphia 76ers had a lot of the same issues building around Allen Iverson. Yes, Allen Iverson made the finals, but did he come close to winning it when he got there? No, he got swept in 5, just like Luka did when the Lakers beat him, when Iverson stepped over Ty Lue. But again, Iverson balled out, Luka balled out. And Luka's effort on defense, like TA said, is horrendous. And I haven't seen any improvement in dedication. That's been the theme on him since he's gotten to the league. When are we going to hold him accountable for his lack of effort on defense and his conditioning?
Yeah.
How long have we heard conditioning been an issue for Luka Doncic? We've heard it time and time again.
Right.
And the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So I don't envision it getting better. And as of right now, I'm gonna say I'm taking a step back on Luka. Yes, he may be top 5 as a talent, but what is that talent translating into? Is it translating into championships? Can you build a team around him? Are the GMs having difficulties finding people willing to play second fiddle to Luka and him? Because the ball did not move the whole series. They had trouble with ball movement and team assists. Look at team assists differences versus Boston compared to the Dallas Mavericks every game of that series. It was a huge gap in team assists. And the one game they did win, that was their best game with team assists. I mean, the ball did move a little better and they had more play and pace. So I give Kyrie his props. He did well with Luka for the most part. But when you needed Kyrie the most, which was in the finals, the chemistry didn't look as good. It didn't look as seamless as it did the previous game. So again, I'm a little bit more sour than not on Luka, and I'm starting to see him as a Allen Iverson or James Harden type, as I mentioned at the beginning of my statement.
And let me tell you something. I hate Luka. I literally hate to watch him play basketball. I do. And we talked about this early, and my hate has been strong and consistent with Luka. My son plays basketball, right? He plays basketball, and he plays it at a high level. He's a much better basketball player right now as a junior in high school than I've ever been in life. I would show him 100 different players to watch, and I wouldn't put Luka in not one tape unless it's what not to do. I would not let my son, my seed, watch Luka Doncic play basketball. Lack of effort, lack of passion. The amount of time this man talks to the referee is absolutely absurd. If that was Rasheed Wallace, if that was Kevin Garnett, if that was any other player, they would have been thrown out multiple games because he is trying to affect the calls and what's happening during the game by posturing during the play. He's trying to show how impactful it is, the last play, by stopping the present play. It is absurd what he's doing in the game. Can he shoot a basketball? Very well. Can he pass the basketball? Very well. He can do those two things. Offensively, the ball sticks. It sticks. He is who they said Carmelo Anthony was. He is. That's exactly who he is.
That's why I compared
it. He does not have Carmelo's body. He does not have Carmelo's rebounding tactics or number wise. He won't get there. And at least Carmelo brought those things on the defensive side of the ball. He would have spurts to where he is guarding the best player. You never, in no position, if it's the first play of the game or the last play of the game, you don't want Luka holding them. You don't want Luka holding the best player ever under no circumstances. If he's on them, it's a mismatch. At some point, if you want to be an elite superstar, you have to be able to guard someone, anyone, and it says you have the favor on this position. When he is guarding Drew Holiday is having his way offensive rebounding against Luka in the paint, multiple possessions, not multiple possessions where he's tipping the ball out. I'm talking about he is gathering the ball, going back up and scoring on Luka. I'm not a fan. I would not build a team around Luka if he was zero cap. If he was cost me zero against my cap, you cannot win with him. You cannot. He would have to win as a second or third player on a very good team. He would have to play with somebody like Wemby. He would have to play with somebody like Giannis, where he's the second or third option. The way that ball sticks to him, and he is taking 10 to 12 seconds off of that clock every time. It doesn't matter when he gets it. If he gets it at 22, 23, he has it for 10 seconds. If he gets it at 12, nobody else gets the ball. I am not a fan of Luka at all.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of your points. My issue with Luka is I don't see a scenario where he could potentially be anything other than a number one option because of his style of play. Right. He could never play off the ball and sit in the corner and just jack up three. His skill set is very Luka-centric, and you have to build a team around him. You would have to space out with a lot of shooters. But the issue with the dilemma of Dallas is if they don't match up with the team that they're going against. For example, when they played Minnesota, Luka could rest on Gobert. He could kind of guard Gobert because Gobert's not looking to score.
No offense.
He can rest on defense. Then on offense, he had all the energy in the world to take over the game because nobody can stop him from scoring. He's a scoring savant. He's just such a defensive liability. But in Boston series, they played 5 out. Every player on the floor can get you 10 to 15 points. There were no offensive liabilities for him to hide and camp out on the defensive end. So the matchup was very, very, very bad for Dallas, and it dictated that in the series, which they really won, and it should have been a sweep, but Boston took a game off, and they ended up winning in 5. But it was an easy series for Boston, and I want to commend you, Jamie, for predicting that series exactly in 5. Legitimate sweep.
Good call.
One of our episodes, I think it was the first episode.
I think it was. Yes, sir. So listen, that's our take on Luka, and we're going to move on, and we're going to give some props to the champion Boston Celtics. I'll say I know 2 Boston Celtics fans, definitely from the yard, and that's about it. Maybe one from my hometown.
I think Embiid's a Boston fan, right?
No, he's a Knicks fan.
Knicks.
Oh, he Knicks. Okay, I thought he was Boston.
So it's one of those things where Jerome from the yard. I know he's been a Boston fan. I don't know many true Boston Celtics fans. I know a few when they got the big 3. So for 2 years, you had everybody riding with Boston. Then when they got these young guys, Tatum and Brown, back-to-back drafts, it wasn't a lot of fanfare there. But that being said, they had 2 superstars play at a comparable rate in the finals. And let's take a look at those 2 players, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and only one got the MVP trophy. Was Tatum snubbed for finals MVP, or did it go to the right person in Jaylen Brown? Talk to me, TA. What you think about the finals and the MVP voting? It took a long time for him to come out there with that trophy.
Man, listen, I thought I was sitting at Buffalo Wild Wings watching the finals last night or whatever night it finished up. And I told my partner, I said, they need to give Jaylen Brown the MVP, but they probably won't because Tatum is the bigger name. I feel like they got it right. I feel like just watching the series, the flow of the series, let's put stats aside and just watch how the games flowed. Jaylen Brown was the most impactful person, especially early on. And so what people want to say is, well, Tatum led in rebounds, points, and assists, all those things. Okay, cool. But let's go a little bit deeper. It's a 5-game series. So the truth of the matter was he didn't lead them in points in the first 2 games. Jaylen Brown did. He led them in points by 1 in the 3rd game. The 4th game was a wash because neither one of them scored well. And in the 5th game, in crunch, in what you really would consider real garbage time toward the end after they had gotten a big lead, Tatum did go off. He put up a ton of points. and Jaylen Brown just could not catch up. So it wasn't a thing of competing for points. Yeah, he led them in points. That's fine. He took a lot more shots, a lot more unnecessary shots. Those shots he was taking step back threes with the shot clock. So he took more shots. He averaged more points. He had a lower field goal percentage than Jaylen Brown did. And I think Jaylen Brown also impacted the game on the defensive end. He took on the challenge of trying to guard Luka and Kyrie at times, full court, trying to really change the pressure, change the looks. And so, yeah, Tatum had he had a really good series. He was not the game changer in the series. Jaylen Brown was. He played on both ends of the court. And I feel like he, for the most part, impacted winning. If I'm being honest, if you're talking about the first couple games, Porzingis had more impact than Jason Tatum did. Jason Tatum he played well, but not Finals MVP caliber. I think they got it right as far as giving it to Jaylen Brown. But that's where I stand on it. I don't think Tatum. Okay. I don't think Tatum deserved it. But he's a really, really good player. I'm gonna go as far as to say I don't know that he's even a superstar at this point. Before the series, I wouldn't have said that. But I don't think Jason Tatum is a superstar. I've seen a lot of his play here as of late. Obviously, with the playoffs, he takes horrible shots. Jason Tatum takes terrible contested shots. They just happen to go in at times, but he takes really, really bad shots. And that's why his field goal percentage is as low as it is. Now, what he did do, to his credit, is he deferred to Jaylen Brown when he was hot to make sure that they were able to get those kind of momentum plays. He kicked it to Jaylen Brown. I heard a stat earlier today on one of the sports analyst shows that said that he assisted on 9 or 10 of Jaylen Brown's 30 possessions that they had together, or whatever the case may be. So kudos to him for getting his teammates involved, but not Finals MVP caliber play at all. Not in my opinion.
Okay. C-Note, talk to me about the Finals MVP. Where do you stand, Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown?
Well, I agree with TA 100%. As they say, when me and TA agree, you can put the baby to sleep. Pretty much, it's pretty much a wrap. I mean, he said it. I couldn't say it any better. I'm gonna take it a step further with a few more details with my take. So if you look at it, Jason Tatum is the regular season superstar. He's the face of the team. He's the Boston brand. You think of Boston Celtics, you think of Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is there to be the perennial number one option, the number one scorer on the team. Did he provide that when it mattered most? No, he did not. Game 1, his stats, 6 of 16 from the field. Game 2, he was 6 of 21 from the field. Could you pull up that stat I sent you, Jamie? No, not that one, the other one. Right there. Jason Tatum shot a historic low the first 2 games, 35.4%, career worst NBA Finals since 1962.
Wow.
And he's the number one option. Guess who carried them those 2 games offensively and defensively? Jaylen Brown. In every big defensive play, Jaylen Brown was involved in the play, or Drew Holiday was. In every big shot in any of these games, it was Jaylen Brown. So we definitely know, based on just facts and those statistics I just presented, that Jaylen Brown was the better of the 2 in the first 2 games. So let's go to game 3. Jason Tatum had a great game 3, his best game of the series. Jason Tatum had 31 points. I want to say 31, 5, and 6 was his final stats. Guess what Jaylen Brown had that same game? 38 and 8, meaning he did better than Jaylen Brown in every other category except for scoring, and he still carried 30 points to 31 points in scoring. So that's a watch in scoring. And then obviously he guarded the best player on the other team in addition to that. So that game also goes to Jaylen Brown. So where are we at now? 3 games to 0, right? The series is over at 3-0. There's nothing else to talk about after any of those games. So it's very obvious that Jaylen Brown won the MVP and he earned the MVP. Now, games 4 and 5, game 4, the Celtics lost by 38 points. That game's a wash. Nobody cares about any stats that happened during a 30-point loss.
That's true.
It doesn't matter. Tatum outplayed them that game, but both of them really played bad. So that game's a wash. We're not even looking at that game. That's just a stat game that makes the stats look better than what it actually is. Game 5, Jason Tatum outplayed Brown. I'm just going to give it to him. But if you really look closely to TA's point, the Celtics were up by 20 at halftime or more. Jaylen Brown's points came in the second half. He scored about 20 of his points or so in the second half in garbage time when they were up 20, 25 points. No one cares about those insignificant points. When going game 3, when the game was hanging in the balance, Jaylen Brown made a dunk with the game hanging in the balance at a very pivotal moment when they were on against a 22-2 run. Jaylen Brown also hit a key mid-range shot to stop the bleeding in the key run to put the Celtics up by like 5 or so. So Jason Tatum did not answer the bell. Jaylen Brown answered the bell. If I would have had to give a second player for MVP, I still wouldn't pick Jason Tatum. I would go with Jrue Holiday if I had to. Jrue Holiday was very key in guarding and locking up Kyrie Irving. And he made so many big shots at key moments, being in a dunker position, showing his versatility, hitting big threes, guarding different positions. So, I commend Jason Tatum. I thought he did a fair job. But this is no question. This is not close. Jaylen Brown deserved the Finals MVP.
Yeah, I'm not upset at any of that, so we don't have to dig into it. Both played well, but when you talked about impactful plays, like if you could think back of the top 10 plays of the series, you're going to go 7-3. Jaylen Brown made that play offensively and defensively. When they went up 3-1, when they lost that game, I think Jalen's mind switched to defense. He switched to say, hey, if I can make it make it tougher for Luka to bring the ball up, distribute it. He was on the sideline. He was talking to one of his teammates. He says, when he give it up, he's not getting it back.
That's
like, once he give it up, yeah. He said, he's not getting it back. Like, that's it for him. So at that point, y'all play defense. Luka locked up. And he was going over. He was going under screens. He was switching. He was switching everything to stay on Luka that last game. Luka was done. Luka was cooked because he's having to work every possession. He's having to work. He's bodying Luka the whole time. So yeah, I think we all can agree. The raw stats, the raw NBA player will say this player led in these 3 categories. That should check the box for MVP, right? But if you watch the entirety of those 5 games, you would absolutely say, I know what the stats say, but I saw a different game with my eyes. So yeah, I'm with Brown on being MVP there. We have another topic, and we're going to stay in the Boston series. And this is about my guy, Jrue Holiday. You've already mentioned. Is Jrue Holiday worthy of Hall of Fame based on this updated resume? I'm going to run you his resume across the screen, and I'm going to let you decide really quickly if he is MVP. Is he a Hall of Famer right now? 6 all NBA defensive teams, 1 NBA championship in 2021, 2 All-Star selections, and he just won another championship this year. So he has 2 championships. His first year with the Bucks, first year with the Celtics. He got 6 all-NBA defensive teams, multiple all-stars. So what do y'all got right here? Is this man an NBA Hall of Famer today? What you got, TA?
I'm geez, man. No, I mean, good night. Good night. Listen, I can't.
Brian never seen TA this choked up for words, bro.
Hey man, because I'm trying
It's
to.
tough. I know it's tough.
Listen, because it's a great question. So kudos to you all for presenting this as a great question. I'm looking at his stats, like you said. You know, a 2-time NBA champion, 6-time All Defense, but I'm looking also at Basketball Reference that kind of keeps up with historical stats, and right now his probability of making the Hall of Fame is 0.016. He's got basically a 16% chance of making the Hall of Fame. Okay. Here's the thing. There has to be a standard, right, for everything. And the truth of the matter is that is it the Hall of really, really good, or is it the Hall of Fame? Like what's the, because if we just gonna put guys who have won multiple championships in just because they were really good contributors to multiple championship teams, he's a defensive mastermind. But at the same time, Jrue Holiday does not affect winning on that type of level. So when you're talking about Hall of Fame consideration, I'm thinking of guys. I'm even going to go with a Draymond Green or someone like people who affect winning on a high level for their team. They didn't even have Jrue Holiday at the beginning of the year. I mean, it was not a thing. And Milwaukee was willing to give him up. If we're just being honest, he's been on multiple teams throughout his career. So I'm not gonna say he's expendable, but at the same time, he's a role player. I like Jrue Holiday, and I think he's a great.
He's likable. He's very likable.
Love Jrue Holiday, and I think he's a glue guy. I think he's a guy that I want him, but I would want him even on the Lakers, like because he affects winning on a semi-high level, but Hall of Fame.
Okay. Hold 1 second, TA, before we get into C-Note. Holiday, he's a 2-time NBA champion, 2021, 2024. He's a 2-time NBA All-Star, 2013 and 2023. He's a 3-time NBA All-Defensive First Team, 2018, 2021, 2023. He's a 3-time NBA All-Second Team, 2019, 2022, 2024. And he has one NBA Sportsmanship Award in 2021. He is not a NBA Hall of Famer. That's your take.
No, not. Okay. And those are all really, really good awards. I'm not. Okay. I don't want to take nothing away from this man. But when you're talking about the NBA Hall of Fame, we're talking about elite level, in my opinion. We're talking about elite level talent. We're talking about guys who really affect winning in a way that makes sense. Because here's the truth. Had he not been traded this year, he'd be a 1-time NBA champion. I don't know that Boston does not, unless we're saying, and C-Note can probably speak more to this, unless we're saying that Boston does not win this championship without Jrue Holiday, which is, again, I'm not going to argue that, there may be statistics out there that support that. We know that Draymond Green affects winning on that high level. They have not, we know certain guys affect winning on those type of levels. I don't know that Jrue Holiday does that. So, no, I'm not giving him Hall of Fame. If he does it again, yes. If he goes to a team next year or stays with Boston, they win it again, I give him the nod. And even still, as a 3-time champion, I don't think he's a first ballot. He'll get in there at some point, and he may still get in there at some point. But it's going to be a long time down the line after he retired before he's able to get in the Hall of Fame if he make it.
Okay, all right. C-Note, what you got on Jrue Holiday? You've spoken very positively on Jrue Holiday this segment and previous segment. You brought up his name. What do you stand on this Hall of Fame vote? Are you voting Jrue into the Hall of Fame today?
No.
No.
No
Hall of Fame.
I agree with Thomas 100%. I mean, I will say that Drew Holiday is a glue guy. He is a championship piece. He was needed for Boston Celtics to win that championship. They would not have won that championship without Drew Holiday. The same for the Milwaukee Bucks. You need that one guard that can stop the other guard on the other team, or at least slow him down to a point where he works him to death, to the point that he's a key matchup. He's a focal point in terms of a key matchup. So all that being said, no, he is not a Hall of Famer. Drew Holiday gives me Andre Iguodala vibes, but you know what he doesn't have? My criteria for a Hall of Famer that's somewhat of a role player is, guess what? You got to be a part of a dynasty usually. Andre Iguodala, he's a part of a dynasty. He won 3 or 4 championships with the Warriors. And then, where's your Defensive Player of the Year award, like a Ben Wallace or somebody? He's a great defender, but he's never been Defensive Player of the Year. You have to have that accolade that pushes you over the top. He doesn't have that accolade. He's jumped around the different teams, a different maker. Now, if he accumulates 4 championships for 4 different teams, and he's this key defender for this team and key bucket getter, yeah, we can have this conversation in the future. But as of now, their resume does not support a Hall of Fame resume. He doesn't have enough All-Stars. He's not the number 1 or number 2 option on the team. Yes, he's a key glue guy, but that's not enough to be an NBA Hall of Famer. Again, Iguodala is probably a Hall of Famer because he's a part of a dynasty. Iguodala, guess what else he has? A Finals MVP trophy in his room. Drew Holiday doesn't have that. So, again, I cannot give Drew Holiday those kind of accommodations to be one ticket away from being a Hall of Famer. I just can't give him that.
He listen, I definitely agree with you guys. His resume, if this is the thing about it, if you didn't know it was Drew Holiday, right? If you didn't know who this was, I think you put him in the category for potential, right? But because his career has been so it has been so above average, right? He has no phenomenal MVP type seasons. He does not have a season under his belt to where you say he's a top 10 point guard. He's a top 10. He's a top 5 guard in the league. Like, at no point does that happen. So I think that takes away from his potentially being Hall of Fame worthy. His name has never been a number 1 guy on any team he's been on. And like I said, he has been moved around the league. His resume, like GA said, is nice. It is he has a very good, if he doesn't play another second of NBA basketball, he is a winner, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But being a winner does not mean you are a Hall of Famer. And you have Hall of Famers that don't have this resume, right?
I'm gonna put the icing on the cake, Jamie. You know who's not in the Hall of Fame?
Who's that?
Robert Horry is not in the Hall of Fame, and he was just as significant as a Drew Holiday to kind of put the icing on the cake. So I think we all agree on it. I mean, we can move on if you want to.
Absolutely. So listen, we do have one more topic. I'm going to shout out to Mr. Play to Win the Game on this last topic here. He said it's going to be a heavy basketball series, and I had to throw this one more question in, NFL related, so he can tune in and probably tap in at some point. But let's talk about the NFL and resetting the market. Let's talk about, is Tua worthy of resetting the market as a franchise quarterback? If yes, why? If no, as a GM, what would you do to maintain a respectable franchise after you sign Tua for the max? You signed Tua for the max, TA. You just signed Tua for the max. Talk to me about that.
Listen, and zero chance I signed Tua for a maximum contract. One, he just went out with concussion protocol. He suffered from that big time concussion deal I think it was last season. Tua, in order to, and this is my take on this, because as a Cowboys fan, I've been back and forth with C-Note plenty about Dak and his play and his contracts and things of that nature. In my opinion, Dak is a much better quarterback than Tua Tagovailoa would ever be. And I don't know that he's going to reset the market. I think eventually he will, but I don't know that he's going to do it. So there'd be zero chance, because here's the thing. Once you reset the market and once you pay a quarterback that type of money, you're essentially saying that this person is the person we believe is going to get us to that next level. Because now, effectively, we're going to have to cut some positions because of what the quarterback market is now worth. The Bengals are having trouble re-signing T. Higgins because of what they are having to pay somebody and what they're going to have to pay Burrow and Chase and all these guys, man. I'm not losing Tyreek Hill. I'm not losing Jalen Waddle. I'm not losing any of my key players to get Tua Tagovailoa re-signed, especially to some type of max deal. Plus, he doesn't move the needle in Miami. He's not one of those guys that if you sign him, it's going to make a big splash. It's going to move the market as far as ratings. He's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not even an Aaron Rodgers. He's not a Trevor Lawrence, to be honest. So no, I'm not spending that type of money, because now you're talking about what Trevor Lawrence is now $50 million a year. So if you're talking about paying Tua $55 million a year, man, they'll run the GM out of Miami, and they should. If they pay Tua a long-term deal at $55-60 million a year, they should run him up out of because here's the thing. I don't think anybody believes they can't do it without him. If we're being honest, I don't think anybody believes that they put in whoever the backup is, or if he got hurt, they couldn't do it without him. You know who they can't do it without? They can't do it without Patrick Mahomes. You can't do it without Joe Burrow. You can't do it without Josh Allen. And I'm going to argue, even though I don't always believe it, I don't know that the Cowboys can do it without Dak Prescott. He's not those guys, man. So, no, if they pay him $55-60 million a year, kudos to the rest of the AFC East, because they just got a gift if they do that, because they're going to have to get rid of some of those top-tier players in order to make sure he stays in the fold. So, no, I'm not sold on it. But, again, you know, maybe somebody is. That ain't the place. They're in a win-now situation. So you definitely don't do it right now.
I got you. C-Note, where you at on Tua? The contract, $30 million, 4 years, $30 million a year, including $20 million signings, 30 guaranteed, average, and an average annual salary. Come on with it.
My question is, as it currently stands, are the Miami Dolphins considered realistic contenders to win a Super Bowl or to come out of the AFC? My answer is no. Well, do you realistically believe that the Dolphins, under the quarterback of Tua and their weapons, will go outside in the wintertime on the road and beat a Kansas City Chiefs team or a Baltimore Ravens team? Do you think they could beat a Buffalo team? Do you think they could beat the Cincinnati Bengals? I don't think they could beat any of those teams. I don't think they could beat the New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. So why would you put your franchise or organization at a even more of a deficiency from a cap standpoint by giving him more when you're not even a contender now? I don't think you should pay him that. And so at what point, I understand that the market dictates who turn is next. I do understand that concept, but I think all things aren't created equal in all these circumstances. You know, sometimes you can kind of justify paying a Justin Herbert, if you will, or even my guy for the Jaguars,
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. Yes. I can even justify paying him because they're still kind of building and maneuvering, trying to see, and then he still has upside. Tua, they were about to get rid of Tua prior to Tyreek Hill getting there. They was never sold on him prior to him having all of these weapons. He has the best weapons, arguably, in football with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and they have all the track stars, the running backs behind them, or what have you. I think they could draft a quarterback that could execute that system. Tua is very accurate. I give him that, but he needs time. He doesn't throw well on a run. He doesn't play well in cold weather. He has so many defaults and barriers to his game that you cannot justify giving him that amount of money.
Listen, I'm with you on Tua. Guys, we've been very consistent tonight. Tua is, and I think he is, an NFL quarterback. I do believe that.
Absolutely,
I do believe he possesses the skill. I've had the likes of Patrick Ramsey and Mark Brunell at 37, 38 years old. So, like, I know quarterbacks that cannot win a game. Like, I've seen them play. He's very capable. This is one of those things where he is in the right place at the right time. They signed Tua to avoid paying him $40 million. That's what they did. They signed him now because when it resets after this season, they would have been forced to have no quarterback, go complete rookie, or be on the market for a quarterback at 40 plus million that does not know their scheme, that does not fit what they're trying to do. Hey, NFL pops up. Look who we have, Mr. Play to win the game. He said they're trying to put a quarterback cap in place now, but I don't see it happening. Tua is trash, like all Alabama quarterback, even Hurts. Yeah, I said it. But sometimes you try to get ahead of the market. I think Miami is ahead of the market right now. So you sign in 2 years, mark my words, in 2 years, that $40 million, that $30 million deal will be a bargain. In 2026, you will see the $30 million contract for the last 5 or 6 worst quarterbacks in the league. They'll be making it.
Oh yeah,
wow.
I see how. Yeah,
Tua is a backup quarterback in the NFL at best.
I'm gonna put him. I'm not gonna do him like that. T.I. I'm gonna put him in like the Kirk Cousins kind of category. I don't,
He's not. No, he's definitely not Kirk Cousins.
He's not Kirk Cousins good.
Don't look at his numbers. He's capable of being amongst the elite quarterbacks in the league in terms of his numbers and production. He's not a bad quarterback. Kirk Cousins is slightly above average to good, just like Tua is. But I wouldn't put neither one of them as a franchise quarterback.
He's capable with weapons.
Yeah.
He's extremely capable when he has weapons of being average. He's a below average quarterback when he's having to play under normal conditions. Like Kirk Cousins didn't have a whole lot of targets. He had Jefferson, who was hurt. The thing about it is I feel like Kirk Cousins still has an opportunity. Tua, I don't know. If they release Tua right now, I don't know that he starts anywhere else in the NFL.
Ooh.
I put him starting in Buffalo. I mean, not Buffalo, but Tampa Bay for sure. Over Baker
Mayfield?
Yes, indeed. I would.
Absolutely not.
I would.
Absolutely not.
Hey, you think you dislike Tua? Baker
No. Listen, it's not about disliking Tua. I just don't see anything in his skill set that allows me to believe that without Tua, literally the fastest weapons in the league, like you said, that he's going to get it done.
He needs weapons. I'm definitely not disagreeing with that. He has to have weapons to be a good quarterback. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
I got it. Hey, listen, we're gonna end a note on that. And TA, what? No, I tell you what. Let's go C note because TA was bubbling at what was about to happen, and I'm waiting on it. So, C note, give me your parting shot for this week's Mike Talk Sports Podcast.
Okay, I'm gonna leave y'all with a golden nugget. All right, the late great Bill Russell, 13 years in the NBA, 12-year All-Star, 11 seasons as an NBA champion. First ballot Hall of Famer, Olympic gold medal. But that's not even what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Bill Russell in high school in the 10th grade sophomore year, walking the halls of his high school. All right. He had just left the gymnasium after getting cut from the junior varsity team in the 10th grade. Guess who he saw? He saw the varsity coach in the hallway. Varsity coach looks at him and says, hey, Bill, I want you to try out for the varsity team. He said, Coach, I just got cut from the junior varsity team.
Hmm.
And he said, well, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you to try out for the varsity team. We're two different teams. I'm a different coach. And I said that to say that a lot of us are Bill Russell. You know, just sometimes we're not successful in one environment and it deflates us as it relates to that particular situation. Doesn't mean the next situation is not a promising one for you just because it's a better situation. Don't equate a negative situation to a better situation just because the next situation is a bigger and better opportunity. You're worth it. I'm worth it. We all are worth it. Embrace the moment and move forward. And as we know, Bill Russell is our first ballot Hall of Famer as a result.
Come on with it, TA. Talk to me, man. What's gonna happen tomorrow, man?
Man, let me tell y'all something,
man.
Listen, man. Listen. One thing about life is we understand, to C Note's point. One thing about life we understand is that there are always opportunities, but life is also fragile, right? And so we have to take the opportunity each day to make the most of every day. And I think that as a family, and I consider you guys my family, we all push each other to just make the most of whatever it is that we're doing in life. Tomorrow, I'm turning 43. Tomorrow will be the big B day, so I'm taking off, man. Got some things that I'm gonna get into, just do. And I say all that to say, man, to everybody, man, just make the most. Make the most of each day, man, because again, I'm blessed, and I know it's cliche, but I'm blessed to be able to be here and be able to do the things that I enjoy doing and love doing, whether it's talking sports, whether it's education, whether it's family, friends, whatever the case may be, man. A lot of people don't get to see another day, right? And so, you know, prayerfully, Lord, say the same. Tomorrow, man, we're going to be celebrating 43 years. And I'm going to say this last thing. I'm blessed. I don't need anything. Don't have a want for anything else but the measure of grace that God has given me to just be able to see it, right? And so I'm excited about it, man. It's going to be a great weekend, great way to celebrate. I hate it didn't come on a Friday, but I'm going to make tomorrow my Friday because I'm celebrating all weekend. Then it's back to work on Monday. But tomorrow is the big 4-3, man. Mike Talk, Sports Talk. My brothers, my family, man. I love y'all, man. And I appreciate y'all. Yes, sir.
Brother. I always like to give you a little known sports fact, right? So in 1974, the NFL introduced sudden death in their regular season games. The very first sudden death overtime ended in 26 seconds. Denver's Broncos kicker Jim Turner hit a 35-yard field goal to defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers. It remains the shortest overtime period in NFL history. My parting shot, I thought about this on the way to work one day, right? I just thought about elevation. As we climb higher, we leave behind noise and clutter of every day, including mind-boggling statistics like this. There are 20 quadrillion ants in the world. There are only 39,000 airplanes in the world. Elevation has its way of clearing our minds, allowing us to focus on what truly matters. Until next time, keep reaching out for new heights, both in sports and in life. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're out. Quick note, we're going to end on a moment of silence tonight. Friend of our Mojo Chambers Mo, I checked on him a few weeks ago. He lost his dad today, so prayers for Mo and his family. And as we end, we're going to end out on 30 seconds of silence, guys. So thank y'all for tuning in to Mike Talk Podcast.